Okay, I'd like to open the July 13th, 2017 Board of Health meeting. This meeting is being recorded. Is there any, and this is also being recorded visually, right?
Yes.
Okay, audio and visual. So, agenda item 2, roll call.
Dave Williams,
Here.
Elizabeth Stevens. Here. David Adams,
Here.
Susan Starkey. Here.
Okay. Agenda item 3, reorganization.
Relinquish your power.
I want me to, is there an overthrow of the,
Is that?
I'm
staging a coup.
okay, so.
With the July elections,
July,
even though none of these seats were disrupted or altered, there is a reorg every year in July. I take the gavel from Dave and I open the meeting to any recommendations, any nominations for chair of the Board of Health.
I make a motion to nominate Dave to be the chair of the Board of Health.
We have 2 days.
Dave Williams.
That
Dave Ward.
Yeah, take one.
I have a recommendation to nominate Dave Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a second, I will ask for those in favor. It is 3 to, not going to vote for you.
I guess, all right. 4.
Okay. Mr. Dave Williams is the new chair of the Board of Health. It's a tough seat to take, so please understand your predecessor gave us some problems. We'd like you to be more responsible.
Yeah, well, don't count on that.
Right, I will hand it back to Dave as the chair of the Board of Health for this next year cycle.
So the next is for the vice chair and accepting nominations for vice chair.
Make a motion for Liz to be the vice chair.
I'll second that. Okay. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor? Elizabeth? All those opposed? Okay. And then Elizabeth, welcome to the second seat. Yay.
Do better than last one.
Okay. I believe that's the only two positions we have to reorganize for. Agenda item number 4, accept the minutes of the June 15th, 2017 meeting.
I make a motion to accept them.
Okay, second?
Listen, you're in here.
You can't do
I can make a
that.
motion, I just can't vote on it.
Look on fire tonight.
Anyone want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions, comments, deletions, corrections?
Were you
If-
okay with them, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, if not, all those in favor? Okay, it says and 1 abstain. Agenda item number 5, citizen forum. So if anyone has anything they would like to bring forward, the board, you want to come up here?
I just wanted to know, about a year ago, did some well testing on Clements Hill Road and Pleasant Street. And I was wondering, some of the residents were wondering, are you going to do that again?
So that's when we had that program, we were offering to reimburse, was it reimbursed for the well test? Okay.
It's been about a year,
Yeah, we was, about a year. We haven't talked about that.
It hasn't been brought before, I'm sorry, it hasn't been brought before the Board of Health. The consensus of the board at the time was that all indications were the water table, the water flow was flowing in another direction, and the board kind of took an attitude of people should be testing their well regularly anyhow, and this might give them a prompt to actually look at what they're drinking regardless of the existence of a landfill. So they put that program forward. I am not averse to rallying to that program again. I won't speak for the council on making funds available to do that program again, as the first program indicated. All the water was well within the drinking water standard. So, as a public health move, I guess the board would have to make a decision how responsible are people for protecting themselves by testing their own water? And I will point out that the Massachusetts code requires that a property owner be responsible for potable water at their property. Or on the flip side, how much the board feels there is a potential public health threat.
So we did that, you remember, we did that because we was concerned about, you know, all the testing was done in Charlton,
Right.
and there was no testing, so we programmed. But
But it has been a year, so.
I understand, but, you know, we don't have any indication that the flow, that the contaminant is flowing towards Southbridge. I mean, we can discuss that, but remember, that would, you know, the Board of Health doesn't provide the funds for that. That would have to come through the town, and the only thing we could do is make a recommendation to them.
Well, a couple of things. I attended a meeting in Charlton recently, and Ty and Bond was there. And he said the contaminants are running north, south, and east, or west, sorry. So south and west would be Pleasant Street and Clements Hill Road. So there is an indication that there are, let me finish, please.
No.
There is contaminants running that direction. Second of all, I don't think you spent the entire amount of money that you used last year. Maybe you did, I don't really know for sure. But I think you were, given what, $5,500? I don't think you spent that much, but that would be a potential, in my opinion, a potential for funds to check the wells. And like I said, it has been a year. It is the health department's responsibility to protect the public health. And so the residents would like to know if you were planning to test their wells again, and they would like their wells tested again. Or at least you did it last time, you offered to share the cost of testing the wells. It is the landfill does have a history of contamination, and that's what they're concerned about.
Sue?
I suggest that we put information up in town hall and if possible on the community television or whatever other media channels we use to educate the public about the importance of testing their wells. But it is the responsibility of the property owner to test their wells and do that on a regular basis. After we make that information available, we could hear any information about Andy as to whether or not he has a recommendation, but I don't think we can make any decisions about this right now without taking a little bit of time to look into it.
Anyone else?
Well, the problem is every time I hear that it's their responsibility to check their own wells, it almost, just my opinion, it almost seems to me like you're trying to blame the victims for a contamination problem. Now, we know there is a history of contamination from the landfill. And so the people who live on Clements Hill Road and Pleasant Street, which is the direction that Ty and Bond says the contaminants are flowing, they're concerned that their wells could be contaminated. I hope they're not contaminated. But it is something that has been a year. I don't think you used all that money. You certainly seem to have a lot of money in this Board of Health because, I mean, I saw all those offices have been refurbished over there. So I know there's money here. I don't think it's going to cost you that much money to test the wells of people who want their wells tested. But just to keep saying that it's their own responsibility, it's not their fault that the landfill is there. And it's certainly not their fault that there's contamination. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. How many houses are up on those streets?
I believe the total offer we made was between 15 and 20. I can't give you the exact
Okay, and
number.
how many people?
We went from the end of the well line, out the water line,
Okay,
to the rest of the way to the landfill last year.
Okay, and
I
how
think
many
it's
people-
15 to 20.
and how many people participated?
8, I think, if I remember right,
Okay.
and they weren't a whole ton.
Okay. So not even everybody participated?
No, but the people who did participate, I recognize, appreciate the fact that they know what they're drinking. So
Mhm.
even if one person participated, I feel we contributed to their peace of mind.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we should continue for eternity to contribute to their peace of mind.
No, I understand.
Okay,
I
drink your water,
I
please.
just wondered how many people live up there and how many people actually participated in the program. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone? Kevin?
Yes, I'd like to ask the board what its consideration is for the sustainability committee moving forward.
Say that again?
I would like to ask the board what their consideration for the sustainability committee moving forward.
My hope was, well, a couple of things, is landfill oversight is part of the conditions, and we have to have that meeting. So sustainability is something that we should have in this town, but we don't have to have. So one recommendation was to try to do the same thing we're doing with landfill oversight, is have the meeting just before this meeting. If we're meeting landfill oversight quarterly, we can alternate the following month, have a sustainability meeting. The issue here being is we still have a light board, we're still one member down, and we really kind of end up recycling the same people. I mean, the same people on landfill oversight is on sustainability, and the same board members. We have a limited number of board members, to go around right now. So my hope is, to try to do it just before this meeting also. But I think one of you had I think an interesting idea, is spinning it off from this board, and to have it a standalone committee, kind of like the Trails Committee.
Right. Like you said, LOC is specifically listed within one of the conditions. The fact that sustainability or recycling committee is not specified within the contract, which is one of the reasons why I suggested that it doesn't need to be connected with the Board of Health directly. And a situation where possibly going to general government and asking for the establishment of a recycling committee totally separate of the board, is there any problem with the board?
Well, I just only wish we had the town manager and a member of the town council here to weigh in.
It's right here.
It's only
Yeah, we hate that too, that'd be a good idea.
What's that?
That'd be a good idea.
Okay. So, I think, can we put that on the agenda and at least give everyone time to think about it, weigh in, email back and forth ideas about what to do, so we can have a more solid decision about this. But I remember, yeah.
I just have some comments in support of a sustainability committee, and I do think it's important. We need to be more sustainable, and the rail trail being finished is a great sustainability project. I'd like to talk about a plastic bag ban. If we could figure out some way, it doesn't have to be associated with Board of Health, but if we can do it.
Yeah.
I apologize for suggesting that we change it back to a recycling committee. If you want to keep it a sustainability committee, my point only is that we go through general government and have it established as just a citizen group and not directly linking it to Board of Health members having to accept.
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion? We put this as an agenda item for discussion.
Yeah.
There are logical reasons that it should stay under the Board of Health. Board of Health has authority to adopt regulations that could ban bags.
Oh, okay.
So you might want to keep it, but this is for a full discussion, a full agenda item.
Yeah.
And I might suggest that we move this whole discussion to our next meeting. We'll put it on for an agenda item. And hopefully make some sort of progress. Meanwhile, the members can think about where they would like to see it go, if they want to see it.
Gives us a month to kind of think about what's the best way to do it. Yeah.
Thanks.
And tagging along with that, I don't know whether you're going to vote or reappoint people to the various committees, but maybe that could be another agenda item for the next meeting. Let's just make sure.
Yeah. Nice try.
No, I agree. I would like to have a complete complement on this board before we start divvying out everybody, so we don't end up having people being part of two or three different boards. Traffic, sustainability, landfill, and some other issues. So we're gonna make that an agenda item for next week and talk about the pros and cons. Next month, I'm working on a weekly schedule here, I can't think. So for next month, okay, so that's a good idea. So, and you're right, there might be reasons why, maybe a separate committee, but still under the Board of Health, just to me, just for the reasons Andy said. Okay, anything else? Any other issues? Any more comments about the sustainabilities from the board? If not, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, the hearing, 663 River Street, appeal to the determination of blight. So is the,
If I may, Stacy?
Yep. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stacy Gilman, and I represent Freelance Properties. I'm the owner of 663 River Street. We have had a mutual agreement yesterday. We had a unsuccessful meeting, but have agreed to table this matter until further action by the ZBA. So we have a mutual agreement.
I would make recommendation to table the matter. Mr. Gilman made a concurrent appeal to ZBA. The only thing that the Board of Health has authority over is the determination, is the building employed or not? And the decision of the ZBA may nullify the need for that. If the ZBA decides that the building can be reconstructed, then it doesn't matter if it's blighted, because Mr. Gilman's intent would be to correct the blight and repair the building.
Yeah.
You may, I believe the order was forwarded, but we ordered the building removed with no other option because of ZBA restrictions, zoning law restrictions. If those are overturned by the zoning board, then it becomes moot, whatever we decide, because Mr. Gilman would repair it. So I would ask that this be
Table it.
continued generally until a ZBA decision is made, and almost rescheduled.
Make a motion to table this off.
When are they needing it?
They have actually announced that they're going to hear his appeal. We reached out today to find out when that hearing was going to be. They have not scheduled it yet. There's a matter of advertising it, there's a matter of making sure that the abutters all get notified. So as soon as we are aware of when the date is, we will inform Mr. Gilman, although I'm sure that the ZBA will also know. I have agreed with Mr. Gilman that I will reach out to him personally as soon as I know, and make sure that that meeting that he is aware of that meeting.
okay. So we have a recommendation from the health director that we
And a motion from Ms. Starkey.
and a motion from Ms. Starkey, but no second. And a second. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, if not, all those in favor of postponing it? All
Mr.
set.
Gilman, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 7, Casella landfill update.
Okay, I've got a handful of items I'd like to update the board on this evening. I'd like to give you an update on the site suitability process, where we're at with that. I'd like to give you an update on the limited plan approval air permit that we talked about last meeting. A little update on the public involvement petition from the Charlton residents. Where we're at with the SW26 permit. Then we discussed a bit at the LOC meeting about the notice of non-compliance we received from odor complaints at the landfill, so I can go over that again and answer any other questions you may have on that. And then I want to go over stormwater issue as of today, resulting from the downpours we had last night. So give you an update on how the site fared through that, some of the issues that we're working on. So the first one was site suitability. We've talked about this each time I've been here. We've talked about where we're at in the phase of that review. So last time we were here, Casella had just submitted to DEP technical information they had requested about some geotechnical information and some other groundwater sampling information. So we had literally just submitted that, and if you remember back, we were kind of waiting for confirmation during that meeting. I know John had an email that he was able to forward us stating that the period of public comment had been extended. And then within the next couple of days, the Sturbridge Board of Health also requested from DEP that the public comment period be extended yet again. So as of right now, the public comment period is slated to end on August 7th. So then it would be, the next step in that would be that we would respond to those public comments. So if you say that that's going to take, say, 30 days, probably will be less than that, but for the sake of the timeline, let's say 30 days. So that would then put us out into the first week of September. So then it would go to, then DEP would have to then make their determination, whether a positive or negative determination for site suitability. We don't know how long that's going to take them to do, but if you figure most permitting falls into a 45, 60-day period, so then that moves you out to beginning of November, that we would actually get a determination from DEP. So from the date of the determination, the Board of Health has 30 days to hold its first meeting. So then you're saying that that would be in the first week of December, that the board would conceivably have their first meeting. So again, that's our, conservative best approach timeline. There'll be some changes to that based on how long it does take to respond to the comments and how long the department takes to make their final determination. All right, so that's where we are on that. I had talked with the board last time about the limited plan approval that we were working on with DEP Air. And that was, it's a smaller permit modification that was about clarifying some operational and record-keeping issues that we wanted to make sure that we had the right understanding with DEP. So we did receive that permit final the day after our last meeting on June 15th. So that permit has been received and is final. Next up would be the public involvement petition. So the public comment period on that closed on June 28th. So we will be finalizing the PIP plan. That will be due to be final on July 28th, so again with this month. The SW26 permit is the DEP permit that we are working on for the new cells and the building of the MSE berms. So that, there's really no new update on that. That's still in response to technical comment phase, so there's no new movement on that.
And the SW26, that's phase 11.
Phase 11, yep, is phase 11. All right, so that's the bulk of the permitting that I wanted to talk about. So again, like we discussed at the LOC meeting, we did receive a notice of non-compliance for odor complaints generated from the Southbridge landfill, and that was dated July 7th. So DEP is obviously, like I said earlier, taking odor very seriously, as are we as the operator of the facility. So we've been working with Anna to make sure she has all the information she needs on all the things that she already knows that we do daily, and that we do concurrently some of the new things that we've added over the past month or so. And I think she's going to be presenting that formally to the board if she hasn't already. But some of those things, some of the typical stuff that we do all day, every day, is that we run several different types of misting systems with an odor neutralizer. It's not just an odor masker. We apply that same neutralizer to both of our water trucks, which sprays waste directly in the cells it's tipping, as well as keeping the several different odor misters that we have, keeping their water reservoirs full, as well as watering the roads. So all of those applications are getting water that's treated with a neutralizer as well. We're very careful about where we're staging trucks. Our closest proximity to residences on the east side of the landfill. So as you know, access in and out of the landfill changes from day to day. And so if we are accessing on the east, we are staging any vehicles that are waiting over in our scaling area and only allowing 2 to go out at a time, so that there's no extended period of time when we might have waste trucks sitting in that close proximity area on the east. The trucks are all untarped so that we can utilize the overhead camera system that the town uses to monitor loads. So we've pulled that out as well. And then we also installed, we kind of came up with a challenge with a couple of our maintenance guys and installed an overhead applicator system at the scale itself. So since we're on tarping to be able to get the cameras, to be able to see the loads, we installed it's like an extension rod that goes out over the inbound scale. And it's operated manually by our scale operator. So when an open top vehicle comes in, she's able to, and they all know they drive at a specific rate, as slow as they can, so that we can manually turn that on and direct apply to that load just as it goes through the scale. So we do think, that's also been a help with dust as well, but it is a direct application of the neutralizer to the waste. And then we've done a couple of other things. We've had two separate companies who we have worked with in the past, who our current company that is our supplier for our neutralizer, the name of that company is Benzico Scientific. So they not only have a PhD chemist who is our rep, he also spent a decade in landfill operations. So he gets both sides of it. He's not just someone who knows the product, he's someone who knows a landfill operation. So they've also been to the site several times, just evaluating what we're doing and then truth checking all of our systems. So all those misters have pumps that we set at a certain rate to make sure we're getting the proper dilution of the neutralizer. Too much is just not effective. You want to make sure that you're putting it in. So they checked all of our pump rates. They're all within the range they need to be. They check the ratio of our nozzles on our misting systems to make sure that, if you have a run of however many feet, that you have a certain amount of nozzles in there to get your effectiveness. We performed some smoke testing last week, which enables you to see actually what the air currents are doing, instead of just saying, well, the wind blows this way. Well, a lot of things happen in those subcurrents. So we did some smoke testing in some of the areas, mostly on the east, because that's our proximity. To be able to see what's actually happening with the airflow movement. So we're trying to go back and incorporate a lot of that technical information, but at the end of the day, Benzico's evaluation is that the systems are functioning as they were installed. So DEP is requiring us to do a handful of things, and that's to submit some documentation, not only on a lot of those things. I just kind of gave you some detail about what really are our minister's capacities and have we looked at those things. As more of a broad-based, what is our odor plan, what are we doing, what are the expectations of the department about what we're doing daily. A timeline for some landfill gas infrastructure improvements that we have planned. They'd like us to formalize that. And then the last thing is a corrective action design plan, which is a formal DEP permitting process to take a portion of the eastern side of the landfill that has temporary or interim capping on it, and to put in a permanent cap system there. So that specific item is 90 days. We're required to submit that within 90 days from 7/7, which is the date that we got it. So that's a true engineering design plan. So that will be the last one that we put in. So any questions on that?
I have two. How long has the neutralizers been in place, like the truck neutralizer, and how long has that been?
The scale sprayer?
Yeah.
That's new, because we just, we looked at our system and said, what else can we do? Where else can we apply to the waste? Because you gotta remember, the waste is sitting in a transfer station, 2 or 3 days before it even gets to us. So we're getting ripe trash from the moment that it shows up at the landfill. So we decided, well, let's start there. So that's when we looked at what we had for the building, what can we put on here, and it was really the credit to my maintenance manager who came up with that system. And then we had Benzico help us with the size of the pump. So that's been in place. I'm gonna say we're close to 6 weeks with that. I may be off by a week. Yeah, I may be off by a week. Yeah. So that's brand new.
So the misting's been in place, other than the truck, other than the scale house, has been in place for a while.
Yeah, we've always had,
No, I know you was, but
Yeah.
the additional things. So the truck mister and what else?
the truck mister, and then we designed and built our own portable mister.
Yeah.
A gallon of water is 8 pounds. Okay, and the reservoirs in these portable misters that you just buy right off the shelf, if you call Benzico and say, I need a portable, they're gonna send you one with a 1,000-gallon tank. Okay, that is very heavy, you know, and so, you know, even though it's mobile and it's on wheels, it's something that's very difficult to move every single day. So the other thing that we added, it's probably within a year, we said, hey, we live in New England, we know, we make snow. So what we did was, we got 2 snow machines, essentially is what they are, and put them in the back of a, like a triaxle truck. Okay, so it can handle the weight of a 1,000-gallon reservoir, and it's also like got a double tire axle on the back so that it can really traverse and handle that weight. So we put the atomizer fans on the back of it, essentially made the same kind of portable misting system as the others that you see when you're up there that have the big wings that unfold. So what we do is every day when we set up our daily face, that portable misting truck, I call it the Mist Monster, that we back the Mist Monster right up to where the trucks are tipping. So that's also relatively new.
Okay, my concern is, we've had a recent rash of complaints.
Yep.
Now, if these have been in place, if this system has been in place previous to the recent rash, what's your idea about why we've had this increase?
Right, like I said earlier in the LOC, you know, we go by it one day at a time, you know, and we are really trying each day to prevent that phone from ringing. So there's a lot of days where we accomplish that, and there's a lot of days that we don't, and the phone rings. I don't know how to explain to you why there's all of a sudden an uptick in complaints.
Right, is it the weather, is it?
That she's on vacation and at home.
Well, I mean, that's true, there's people's proximity to the area is it, but, you know, it's very much weather related.
Yeah.
Barometric pressure, predominant wind direction, and proximity all play into that, you know, into that equation that could lead to a water complaint. So I wish I could say to you, Dave, it's this, this, and this, you know, but nothing is changing about the waste. I mean, we've even pushed out our own customers who we feel might have more pungent trash. You know, we've done that. So
does Casella keep track of like a spreadsheet of the different conditions to try to track this down? Is it, like, are you predominantly getting complaints at high temperature? I mean, with, you know, low pressure, with certain wind directions, you know, the flare, certain times of the
obviously,
day?
wind direction is
Right.
of what you're
But
mentioning.
do you have this in kind of,
We
have you
have-
been trying to track
We have
down?
all that information, Dave, we have looked at it from a lot of those
Right.
angles. You
And
know,
there
there's
doesn't
no
seem to
glaring
be,
line.
there's no, like, we tend to get a lot more complaints when, obviously,
I have a
wind
personal
direction.
opinion, I think Monday's a tough day, because the waste has not moved in those
Okay.
transfer stations.
So on,
So, you know, but I think if you plotted that out, I don't know if that's fact, Dave. I personally feel like these Mondays are tough days,
Okay.
you know.
now you have all that on like a spreadsheet or something, or is it just a collection of data? I'm just,
It's a collection of data,
Okay.
that's what it is. It's not something I could hit a button and, you know.
okay.
Because even if you did get that information, what would you do with it?
Well,
Change the
if
weather?
you know it's at certain times, like on a if it's on a Monday, then you know that you need to be extra vigilant on.
But it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, if they're already taking those. I get what you're saying, but I appreciated Tracy explaining how many different things they're doing and that they keep being responsive when they get
Okay. Anyone else? I know, I'm good to, I want to get to the board first. Maureen?
I just have a question, is it the trash that people are complaining about, or is it the mister stuff? Because I've heard that the mister stuff is a problem too. That it's
The
kind of
cherry
stuff.
smell.
Yeah,
I
the
was
cherry
gonna-
smell.
Actually, it's interesting that she said that, because that seems to be, people who seem to be about the sweet smell.
Well, we changed neutralizers a little over a year ago, because people were complaining about the cherry smell. So you know, the cherry smell is really meant to be a tracer, so that you are able to tell where the neutralizer is. The cherry was never there to neutralize anything.
To just hide it.
It was there so that you could, you know, olfactory perceive that the product was there. So we changed it to a true neutralizer. It's a plant oil-based neutralizer that we use now. And it does have a scent, but it is very mild compared to like if you were to have a cup of that cherry stuff. To the Benzico Odor Armor that we use right now is a very mild floral scent. But to answer your question, I believe predominantly, if you look at the odor complaints, you would see that it would be trash related. I don't have an exact number for you.
Kevin?
Yes. Tracy, is all the present monitoring for gas leakage from the landfill itself being conducted? And is the permanent cap over this, on the temporary cap, whether it be removed and a permanent cap placed? In other words, is the odor complaints landfill gas itself leaking from older cells and not necessarily the trash coming in? All the monitoring being done for overhead gas detection?
So like I just said to Maureen, I think you'll see predominantly it's their trash complaints. But, you know, as far as our air permitting goes, Kevin, that's what dictates all of that monitoring.
Mhm.
All of that is being done. All the surface scans and the perimeter soil probes and weekly landfill gas wellhead monitoring, it's all being done. It's all in compliance.
All in compliance and, okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments for Tracy?
Can you speak to the rainfall this weekend?
That's my next one.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so last night at the landfill, we received 1.43 inches of rain in a half hour. So if you plot that out, that equates to somewhere between 25 and 50 year storm event. So we got a big slug of rain last night in a very short period of time.